Welcome to Music DNA, the show that will help you discover the insights of music. I'm your host, Ahmed Torresilla. On today's show, we're going to have the pleasure of being talking about an interesting project from New World School of Arts. And we have the founder of this project, Dr. Brian Hazlett. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here. He is an assistant professor of cello at New World School of the Arts. I would like to start by asking you, how did you come up with this idea?
Absolutely. I wanted to provide an opportunity for my students to continue learning about cello over the summer. Now, normally they would go to these festivals, some here in Miami, some all over the country. They would meet other young cellists, they would meet other teachers, get different perspectives. Summer's a great time to be learning more about the instrument. However, with the pandemic, it was unsafe for anyone to gather, so all the festivals were canceled. So I started this initiative, Cello Lab at New World School of the Arts, to provide an opportunity for the students, my own and others, to engage with each other in a virtual format. It began as just a 2-week festival, basically, and since then has expanded into something that's going to be ongoing and hybrid with students here in Miami as well as people attending from around the world. And our last event actually included participants from 14 countries.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was very fun to see the different perspectives and to get questions from people in places that I have never even visited myself.
That's great. Okay, what is Cello Lab composed of?
It's mainly master classes, technique warm-ups, and practice help. So my hope is that when someone attends a Cello Lab event, by the end of it, they've had an opportunity to hear other students, to engage with teachers, guest artists from all over, and to walk away with some concrete tips or ideas about their own practice, so that when they are by themselves in that tiny room spending those hours, I hope that I'm able to contribute just a couple nuggets for them to think about something differently.
That's super special. Do you specialize in one style only, or do you engage in various styles?
We like to engage in a variety of styles. In our last event, all of the participants chose to play pieces from the standard repertoire. However, for the concert, much of which you'll hear today, we engage with music of contemporary living composers as well. So we do play Bach, Baroque, we play classical music, but we also play contemporary classical music by living composers. And that's really, I think, reflective of what we need to do as musicians in today's world.
Sure. Yes, sure. What are some of the challenges you encounter while using technology? I'm talking about sound-wise, video, all those problems with the delay and everything.
How many hours do we have? The Cello Lab has presented an interesting challenge because of the participants from all over the world. So one person was was playing in the master class, and she lives in the mountains of Colombia. And a storm came through and just completely knocked out her internet in the middle of the master class. So some things we just have to deal with the situation that we're presented with. And I believe that accessibility is extremely important. So for those people who don't have access to high-speed internet, there are ways that we can tweak the settings on Zoom. And since the pandemic hit us, Zoom actually came out with a high-fidelity music mode, which has been incredibly helpful for those situations when the internet might not be able to provide the best speed. Then we can kind of make up with that. So it really just requires flexibility. People might not have fancy microphones. They might not have the money or might not want to spend the money on that. And that's okay, because there's still so much information we can get through an iPhone or a computer microphone.
Sure. Okay, why don't we go to the first piece, the Rochelle by Ricardo Lorenz. Can you expand a little bit on this piece?
Sure. He's a Venezuelan composer living here in the United States. And the piece, he actually marks it as a Gothic salsa. So he combines...
I love that.
Yeah, elements of different traditions and brings them into this contemporary classical realm. And that C word, contemporary, just to say a little bit about that, often I hear people say, oh, well, I don't like contemporary music. It's all atonal and it sounds crunchy and all of this. But one of the great things about this piece is that it still lives within a tonal tradition, as much contemporary music does.
Yeah. Okay, so let's hear the piece. Stay tuned, we will be right back. Here we are back in the studio. We are talking with Dr. Brian Hazlett about Cello Lab. You cannot miss this project. This is a very interesting project from New World School of the Arts, and he's its founder. So we have info from first hand here. Let's keep talking about how do you think students felt during the pandemic, and how does this project impacted them?
I found that their motivation was lacking. they have to practice in their bedrooms because their family is home working, their younger siblings are doing their online school. And so where they might normally be able to have more headspace in a practice room at school, now all of their activities, they're practicing their schoolwork, everything, their lessons, everything is happening in their own bedrooms. And so I found that it's been very difficult for them to find the motivation to get up and do those hours of work that are necessary. So I have really hoped that Cello Lab would provide them an opportunity to get out of their normal routine, do something a little bit different. So at our events, we begin each day with technique warm-up. So I'll have everyone get their cellos and get their video in a place where I can see them and lead them through some techniques, me with my own cello, and hopefully get them to just think about something that their body does in a slightly different way, so that it's not just their normal, oh, I have to get up and practice as I do every single day, but to try and provide something a little bit different for them. We also structure it with social events. And that's been one of the biggest difficulties, is the students miss each other. And they've really missed getting to just walk to McDonald's or walk around campus and just talk to each other without this very forced kind of format with the camera right in your face and all of that. So we do bingo and we do introductions to everyone's pets and their furry friends and that sort of thing, to try and open up some space to just chat and just let them be young people.
Yeah, that's great. How do you set the tone of the rehearsals?
For this last event, we only had 2 rehearsals, and we made the recordings that you're hearing today at the second rehearsal. So when you have such limited time, you have to come in, everyone has to be ready, and everyone has to bring the energy and be on point for the rehearsal. So from the second that they enter the room, the tone of the rehearsal has already been set. So I, for this last event, set up the chairs. We had the lighting, all how it was going to be, and everyone knew where their assigned seat was going to be. We had worked through Zoom. We had worked on the pieces together, so they knew the expectation was that they would show up and they were going to be prepared. And when we got there, we all made the agreement, okay, I'm going to give my energy to this. Maybe I didn't sleep well last night, but I'm here for this rehearsal, and we're going to get this done. We're excited about this piece. And so I tried to foreground that so that they would come and be prepared, but also have a good time. Because when people show up and they're not prepared or they're not following the expectations, it's just not as fun for anyone involved.
Yes,
and I was really proud of every one of them, the students at New World School of the Arts and the participants in Miami that aren't our current students. Everyone showed up ready to go, and I was really proud of the work they did.
Sure, I'm sure of that. That's amazing in times like where we're living. Yeah, sure. If any student wants to join the project, what would be your advice or the procedure to join the project?
We have a website. It's through, the page of the website is through my own personal website, and it can be accessed. We have a bit.ly link, so bit.ly/CelloLab, all one word, and that will take anyone to the most updated page of information. Perfect. You can also find us on Instagram. I keep the Instagram updated with what our next event will be, and you can find videos from our past events and just more information. If anyone ever has any questions, you can write directly to me. You can even, through the Instagram, the Cello Lab Miami Instagram, send me a direct message. I communicate with a lot of people through that.
Great. Okay. I would like to go to the second piece, Sarabande and Bourrée by Johann Sebastian Bach. Can you talk a little bit about this piece?
Sure. Bach is such a foundational composer to the cello. We have 6 solo suites for cello, and it's very standard rep. repertoire for anyone who's learning the instrument. However, the only thing better than cello is more cello. So this is actually an arrangement that we've sort of stolen from the violinists. It's an arrangement of the first violin partita, 2 movements of the first partita, and it's for cello ensemble. And I find that the addition of the multiple instruments helps bring out the voices in a really unique way and adds a richness to the piece.
Great. So let's enjoy this piece. Take it away. Stay tuned. We will be right back. I hope you enjoyed this performance as we did. Here we're back with Dr. Hazlett talking about Cello Lab project. So I would like to keep going with your life, your career. How did you start in music? Anything that you can share with us about your career in general?
Sure. It really was born out of the fact that I just love the way the cello sounds. And I chose orchestra when I was in public school, going into 5th grade, and I chose orchestra because none of my brothers had done it. And I wanted to do something a little bit different. They had done all of the arts. I have 3 older brothers.
I hear you're from Texas.
Yes, I grew up in Dallas, actually. And in Texas, everything is about marching band. And my high school actually won the state football championships when I was there. It was a huge deal. So all of the music that we were exposed to was really for marching band. However, my parents took me to see the Dallas Symphony from a very young age. And when it came time for me to choose an arts going into 5th grade in public school, I decided to do orchestra. All of my siblings had done photography and ceramics and band and all of the arts. So I wanted to do something a little different. And when it came the day to choose my instrument, I thought I was going to go for viola, actually. But they played each one, and when they played the cello, I heard it and just decided, you know, that's the most beautiful thing I've heard. I'm going to try and learn how to play that box of wood. And it just became something that just interested me more and more.
As vocation.
Exactly, exactly. And when it came time for college, it was either going to be chemical engineering or music. And I just decided to follow the thing that I couldn't do a day without. And I did my degrees in cello, and I found that in order to have a career as a musician, it's not just sitting down to play your instrument. I've had to do graphic design and web design and all promote myself and marketing, exactly. So I like the challenges that have come with a career in music, and I'm so pleased to be able to get to share that with other people now as a professor.
That's great. What makes Cello Lab interesting and different from other projects from other schools?
I think the way that we include our own students and people from around the world has been a unique experience. A lot of projects are focused around, let me get something from my students, and yeah, okay, we'll have other people, but they're not really as important. Yes. And my goal is to really create a community through Cello Lab so that our students are meeting other people from all over and are able to learn from guest artists who are giving master classes.
Great experience.
Right, right.
Yes. What has been your experience as professor at New World School of the Arts? And would you like to share any special anecdotes?
I actually joined the faculty a year and a half ago, right before the pandemic began. And it's been very fun to navigate the partnership between Miami-Dade College, University of Florida, and the Miami-Dade Public Schools. And to have the opportunity to provide accessible education. I say accessible, our in-state tuition for college is only $5,000 per year, which is significantly cheaper than anywhere else that you could get a music degree. And that also translates that our tuition for international students and out of state is also very low. So I've enjoyed being able to be at an institution where cost is not as much of a barrier as it is in many other places.
Yes.
I also find that our faculty is really involved with the students, and the students are really interested in getting performance opportunities and interacting with the faculty and experiencing what it's like to be a musician and find out what they need to know to have a career in music. So I've really enjoyed such an inquisitive student body.
That's perfect. What kind of advice would you give to the students who want to join the New World School of the Arts or to apply for the school?
First of all, I would say, please apply. We would love to hear from you. Our application is 100% free. always has been, even before the pandemic. We're right now holding auditions online, and we're still accepting applications actually for the upcoming school year. You can find all of that on the New World School of the Arts website, and anyone that has questions, again, can reach me directly through the Cello Lab Instagram.
Okay, great. So now you know. You have all the info. Go a little back on this video and take a note, apply for this great institution. You will not regret of that. Okay, now I would like to go to the last piece, which is Flores Scene by Gemma Peacock. Can you expand a little bit on this piece?
Gemma is actually a personal friend, and she grew up in New Zealand, but she's here in the States now. And fluorescein is a compound that's a fluorescent compound that's used for tracing in the blood. And she wrote this because the two cellos, it's a cello duo, and the two cellos are intertwined, and you can sort of imagine the musical lines are these fluorescent compounds that are lining up and then going in and out of each other, and it creates this, to me, a very visceral musical dance.
That's great. Okay, after this piece, we are going to close the show. I hope you have enjoyed all of this info from this great project. I hope to see you in the next video, and remember, make music your style of life. See you in the next one. Take it away.